So good evening class. We have studied about the photosynthesis process and we have done about the introductory part of the photosynthesis process. So we are going to study it in detail today. So photosynthesis, as I have told you earlier, that it occurs in the leaves only. Okay, photosynthesis. So in this process, carbon dioxide plus water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll will be resulting in production of carbohydrates plus O2, oxygen. So this is the reaction or the working process for making of photosynthesis process. Like first ingredient, as we are going to make a dal, so in that we need some dal, some spices or some water or some salt in it or chilies in it to make the process or to making the process of cooking. But likewise in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll are the essential part for making of photosynthesis. Like for example, for cooking we require some gas or stove on which we are going to cook the food. Likewise, sunlight and chlorophyll are very much essential for the process of photosynthesis, and in the resultant it will give rise to carbohydrates and it will produce carbohydrates and oxygen. The end product are carbohydrates and oxygen. So this is the process, and this is the reaction for which, as I told you, that the photosynthesis occur in plants or the leaf part of a plant. So I have discussed earlier the stomata, and there was some confusion, and I am going to redraw the diagram as you can recall. So what are they? These kidney-like structure, as I told you earlier, these are kidney-like structure, or the so this whole structure is known as stroma. The single when stomata is in single form is known as stroma, or stroma is the stomatal cell which is in the leaves. So this is the stroma, and in stroma there are these shape of the kidney-like beans shape is known as, these two are guard cells, and this vacant space, or you can say the opening space, is known as stomatal opening. So this is the diagram of stomata, and that's why the leaf have the green color. All these cells are very much essential in making the food, or the pigment in the leaves are the green color. So this is the diagram. Now next is like these leaves have some green pigment that is known as chlorophyll. So for you have seen some leaves, like for example some leaves have different structure or they are different in color. So what is the reason behind that? The different you have seen the different color leaves also, as I have many plants. So some have brown, some leaves are brownish in color, some are pinkish, or some are the blackish one. So as we have seen that the pigment is green but the leaves are in different color. So for that, in this process, there is a test called iodine test. You have done in 6th class also. So I am going to recall the test. Like in iodine test, what we are going to do, we are taking two pots, two flowering pots, two pots, one in the dark, one we place in the dark, and one it is in the sunlight. So after pouring some iodine to it, after dipping the leaf into the iodine solution, we came to know, or we get the result that, what do we get the result, students? So we get the result that the leaf, or the leaf which are in sunlight, tend to change its color, like it will turn into blue, black, or something like that. But those who have darker color, they will not turn into other color, or because they lack in chlorophyll, as the leaves in sunlight will be rich in chlorophyll, and the green pigment is converted into the other one. The change in color represent the presence of chlorophyll or the presence of starch in it. So the process is further converted into the starch, or the presence of starch. So it will represent that the leaves have the chlorophyll in it, or the green pigment in it. Are you getting, class, something you are getting from this? So you have done this experiment in class 6 also. So now next, like for example, we have seen the process of photosynthesis, in which carbon dioxide, water will convert into the carbohydrates and oxygen. So not only the photosynthesis is going to be in carbohydrate, the resultant will be carbohydrate, but also carbohydrate is also known as starch, or it's the form of starch. Starch is the form of carbohydrate. So plant also have some proteins also. So these proteins contains protein part also. So these proteins contains like nitrogen and two. So these proteins contain nitrogen, and the plant part also contain nitrogen. So where do plants get nitrogen? Any guess, class, student? So the nitrogen is essential for the plant, and the plant get nitrogen from air. So you have heard about that air contains 72% of 14% of nitrogen in the atmosphere. So the plant is not capable to directly take the nitrogen. So on that basis, what happens, the plant converts the nitrogen, or there are many other sources for conversion of nitrogen. So they have a requirement of nitrogen for them, for the production of their food. Plants have the requirement of nitrogen. So nitrogen is N2, or the nitrogen is fixed. Like for example, we are are very hungry and we want to eat food, so we are not tend to eat the food in the raw form. We are going to cook the food, we are going to cut the slices, or we are going to wash the food. Then after we are going to do the process. As likewise, nitrogen is being fixed by some bacteria. Okay, some bacteria. So in this soil, the nitrogen is not very much essential. So for uptaking of nitrogen, there are some friends, you can say, there are some friends or the source from where plant get the nitrogen, and the source are the bacteria. So some bacteria will help the plant to get the nitrogen, and the bacteria itself convert the nitrogen into the simpler form, and the plant will take it. Okay class, so nitrogen is fixed by bacteria. As in the NCERT book, NCERT book, the names are not mentioned, but I want to give examples. Like for example, bacteria like azobacter, and anabina. So these are the bacteria's name. I have given you the example. These are the azobacter, anabina are the nitrogen fixation bacteria. So they help in nitrogen fixation. So have you seen those plants, like for example animals are not only eating plants but also animals. So have you heard about any plant or the other source from where plant get its nutrients? And plant are also of different type, like they eat the insects and all. Have you heard about that? So there are other plants which are dependent on the other nutrition part. They are dependent on others. So these are known. I have told you about the type of nutrition. So earlier that we have two type of nutrition. Like first one is autotrophic and the second one is heterotropic. So in the heterotropic nutrition, there is a example. Heterotropic nutrition. In your NCERT book, there is a example of cuscuta, or the amarbale, which climbs on the other part of the plant. Like there are two plants. So this one is amarbale and this one is the other part. So it will climb to the other part of the plant, and like they have some kind of nutrition. So the amarbale climbs on the other part of the plant and take care of the nutrition. So it is dependent on the other parts. So the example is amarbale or cuscuta. It's yellow in color. And I have earlier told you about the autotrophic nutrition. So these are the heterotropic example of heterotropic, as we are going to study about the only plants. So these are the example of heterotropic nutrition. Now the next is, you have heard about the plants which eat insects or like that. So the example is the pitcher plant, which feeds on pitcher plant. Which feeds on insects. Okay, what happens in pitcher plant? I will draw a diagram. So the pitcher plant is also having green pigment, but why do pitcher plant feed on insects and the organism or the other organism? Do you have any idea? So get some idea. Meanwhile, I am going to draw the diagram of plant. So this is like the picture plant. As you can see the opening part of the plant, okay, and these are hair-like structure here. Like they have some hair-like structure here and here, and on the down part of the plant. So when something enters through it, it has a trap. Like it acts like a trap, and when something sits on it, it get like this part or the other part will act like a clamp to catch the or to trap the food. And it happens like that whenever something, like for example, uh, I am giving an example, like something sit on the surface, like this surface, it will trap the insect, and after that it will try to engulf. The hair is able to capture the insect, and after that the hairy part, in the hairy part, it gets the nutrition from here, and the insect reaches here. And this structure is like bulb structure. So in that, the insect goes down, and within a period of time, like it will uh, hardly rest in here like 2 to 3 days or weeks. So after that the insect keep on sitting there, or the insect is dead, so it will keep on sitting there, and after that the pitcher plant get it nutrition. So it has some nutrition value, or the nitrogenous value. So that's why if that's why pitcher plant is capable to eat the insects also. And it has some green pigment. So why there is a need that pitcher plant is going to eat the insects, as he is also having the green pigment? So the answer is, as the pitcher plant is not capable to get all the nutrients or the nitrogen from the soil, so to help or to fulfill his requirement, or to fulfill the plant requirement, it feeds on the insects and the other organisms. So I hope you are getting the things right now, that how a pitcher plant traps the insects. Okay class. So now the other one is, now we will discuss the further after this class. Thank you so much class.